"How do you feel, your lordship?" said Corporal Nobbs, the upwardly mobile. "Who are you?" "Corporal Nobbs, sir," said Nobby, saluting. "Do we employ you?" "Yes, sir." "Ah, you're the dwarf, are you?" "No, sir. That was the late Cuddy, sir. I'm one of the human beings, sir." "And you're not employed as the result of any special hiring procedure?" "No, sir," said Nobby proudly. "My word," said the patrician. He was feeling a little light-headed from loss of blood. The Arch-Chancellor had given him a long drink of something he said was a marvelous remedy, although he'd been unspecific as to what it cured. Verticality, apparently. It was wise to remain sitting upright, though. It was a good idea to be seen to be alive. A lot of inquisitive people were peering around the door. It was important to ensure that rumors of his death were greatly exaggerated. Corporal self-proclaimed human Nobbs and some other guards had closed in around the patrician on Captain Vimes's orders. Some of them were a lot bulkier than he rather muzzily remembered. "You there, my man, have you taken the king's shilling?" he inquired of one. "I never took lesson." "Capital, well done." And then the crowds scattered. Something golden and vaguely dog-like burst through, growling, its nose close to the ground, and was gone again, covering the ground to the library in long, easy strides. The patrician was aware of conversation. "Fred?" "Yes, Nobby?" "Did that look a bit familiar to you?" "I know what you mean." Nobby fidgeted awkwardly. "You should have bawled her out for not being in uniform," he said. "Bit tricky, that. If I'd run through here without me clothes on, you'd fine me $50 for being improperly dressed." "Here's $50, Nobby. Now shut up." Lord Vetinari beamed at them. Then there was the guard in the corner, another one of the big, lumpy ones. "Still all right, your lordship," said Nobby. "Who's that gentleman?" He followed the patrician's gaze. "That's Detritus the Troll, sir." "Why is he sitting like that?" "He's thinking, sir." "He hasn't moved for some time." "He thinks slow, sir." Detritus stood up. There was something about the way he did it, some hint of a mighty continent beginning a tectonic movement that would end in the fearsome creation of some unscalable mountain range, which made people stop and look. Not one of the watchers was familiar with the experience of watching mountain building, but now they had some vague idea of what it was like. It was like Detritus standing up, with Cuddy's twisted axe in his hand. "But deep sometimes," said Nobby, eyeing various possible escape routes. The troll stared at the crowd, as if wondering what they were doing there. Then, arms swinging, he began to walk forward. "Acting Constable Detritus? As you were?" Colin ventured. Detritus ignored him. He was moving quite fast now, in the deceptive way that lava does. He reached the wall and punched it out of the way. "Has anyone been giving him sulphur?" said Nobby. Colin looked around at the guard. "Lance Constable Bauxite! Lance Constable Coalface! Apprehend Acting Constable Detritus!" The two trolls looked first at the retreating form of Detritus, then at one another, and finally at Sergeant Colin. Bauxite managed a salute. "Permission for leave to attend grandmother's funeral, sir?" "Why? Either her or me, Sarge." "We get our gahooling heads kicked in," said Coalface, the less circuitous thinker. Elsewhere, a match flared. In the sewers, its light was like a nova. Vimes lit first his cigar and then a lamp. "Dr. Crucius?" The chief of assassins froze. "Corporal Carrot here has a crossbow, too," he said. "I'm not sure if he'd use it. He's a good man. He thinks everyone else is a good man. I'm not. I'm mean, nasty, and tired. And now, Doctor, you've had time to think. You're an intelligent man. What were you doing down here, please? It can't be to look for the mortal remains of young Edward, because our Corporal Nobbs has taken him off to the watch morgue this morning, probably nicking any small items of personal jewelry he had on him, but that's just Nobby's way. He's got a criminal mind, has our Nobby, but I'll say this for him. He hasn't got a criminal soul. I hope he's cleaned the clown makeup off the poor chap. Dear me." You used him, didn't you? He killed poor old Beano, and then he got the gun, and then he was there when it killed Hammerhawk. He even left a bit of his Beano wig in the timbers. And just when he could have done with some good advice, such as to turn himself in, you killed him. The interesting point, is that young Edward couldn't have been the man of the tower a little while ago, not with a stab wound in his heart and everything. I know that being dead isn't always a barrier to quiet enjoyment in the city, but I don't think young Edward has been up and about much. The piece of cloth was a nice touch, but you know, I've never believed in that stuff. Footprints in the flower bed, telltale buttons, stuff like that. People think that stuff's policing. It's not. Policing's luck and slog most of the time, but lots of people would believe it. I mean, he's been dead, not 2 days, and it's nice and cool down here. You could haul him up. I dare say you could fool people who didn't look too close once he was on a slab, and you'd have got the man who shot the patrician. Mind you, half the city would be fighting the other half by then, I dare say. Some more deaths would be involved. I wonder if you'd care. He paused. You still haven't said anything. You have no understanding, said Crucius. Yes? Dieth was right. He was mad, but he was right. About what, Dr. Crucius? Said Vimes. And then the assassin was gone, diving into a shadow. Oh no, said Vimes. A whisper echoed around the man-made cavern. Captain Vimes, one thing a good assassin learns is... There was a thunderous explosion, and the lamp disintegrated. Never stand near the light. Vimes hit the floor and rolled. Another shot hit a foot away, and he felt the splash of cold water. There was water under him, too. The Ankh was rising, and, in accordance with laws older than those of the city, the water was finding its way back up the tunnels. Carrot? Vimes whispered. Yes? The voice came from somewhere in the pitch blackness to his right. I can't see a thing. I lost my night vision lighting that damn lamp. I can feel the water coming in. Vimes began, and stopped as he formed a mental picture of the hidden Crucius aiming at a patch of sound. I should have shot him first, he thought. He's an assassin. He had to raise himself slightly to keep his face out of the rising water. Then he heard a gentle splashing. Crucius was walking towards them. There was a scratching noise, and then light. Crucius had lit a torch, and Vimes looked up to see the skinny shape in the glow. His other hand was steadying the gon. Something Vimes had learned as a young guard drifted up from memory. If you have to look along the shaft of an arrow from the wrong end, if a man has you entirely at his mercy, then hope like hell that man is an evil man. Because the evil like power over people, and they want to see you in fear. They want you to know you're going to die. So they'll talk. They'll gloat. They'll watch you squirm. They'll put off the moment of murder like another man will put off a good cigar. So hope like hell your captor is an evil man. A good man will kill you with hardly a word. Then, to his everlasting horror, he heard Carrot stand up. Dr. Crucius, I arrest you for the murder of Bjorn Hammerhawk, Edward Dieth, Beano the Clown, Lettuce Nibs, and Acting Constable Cuddy of the City Watch. Dear me, all those. I'm afraid Edward killed Brother Beano. That was his own idea, the little fool. He said he hadn't meant to, and I understand that Hammerhawk was killed accidentally. A freak accident. He poked around, and the charge fired, and the slug bounced off his anvil, and killed him. That's what Edward said. He came to see me afterwards. He was very upset. Made a clean breast of the whole thing, you know. So I killed him. Well, what else could I do? He was quite mad. There's no dealing with that sort of person. May I suggest you step back, sire? I'd prefer not to shoot you. No, not unless I have to. It seemed to Vimes that Crucius was arguing with himself. The gon swung violently. He was babbling, said Crucius. He said the gon killed Hammerhawk. I said it was an accident, and he said no accident. The gon killed Hammerhawk. Carrot took another step forward. Crucius seemed to be in his own world now.
No, the Gon killed the beggar girl too. It wasn't me. Why should I do a thing like that?
Crucius took a step back, but the Gon swung up towards Carrot. It looked to Vimes as though it moved of its own accord, like an animal sniffing the air.
Get down,
Vimes hissed. He reached out and tried to find his crossbow.
He said the Gon was jealous. Hammerhawk would have made more Gons. Stop where you are.
Carrot took another step.
I had to kill Edward. He was a romantic. He would have got it wrong. But Ankh-Morpork needs a king.
The gun jerked and fired at the same moment as Carrot leapt sideways.